Hello and welcome to Just Basketball with Rad Beaver. I'm your host, the elusive Rad Beaver. Pay no attention to my kitchen studio that I've got going on. My current studio is being remodeled, so we're just kind of moving stuff around the house. But let's talk about what's going to be happening today. So we're going to talk about Pippen's playoff record and his overall record versus Michael Jordan and why it's better. And I think one of the major reasons is because Pippen was able to put himself at an advantage to play with more top 75 players overall. He played with six of them that we know of, seven that we could possibly consider into the top 75 if you really want to stretch a little bit there. And it's one of the reasons why he has a better playoff record overall, but also one of the reasons he has a better win record overall. And then you've also got to remember that when Jordan retired in the 93-94 season, he left Pippen in charge of a 60-win team, and they got 55 that following year and so on and so forth. So he left them in good playoff contention as well, and was able to get out of that first round of the playoffs. It was something that was unprecedented that we have yet to see again from another team. The second thing that I want to mention is, like I said, with the top 75 players that he played with, at least six of them. So he played with Michael Jordan in Chicago. He played with Rodman in Chicago. He played with Charles Barkley in Houston. He played with Hakeem Olajuwon in Houston, Clyde Drexler in Houston, and then Robert Parrish. He was able to play with Robert Parrish as well. And I think that that really makes a big difference because when you've got that type of caliber player with you, it's going to give you an advantage. And in Houston, he had a big advantage, but he just did not know how to cash in on that. They could not make it work to get a title in Houston. If you guys don't remember the 97, 98, or well, 98, 99, 99, 2000 seasons that he was there, and then he got shipped off to Portland. But they really tried to make it work for what they could, and for some reason it just did not work for them. But they did have 50-win teams on all of those all of those teams he played with Houston and with Portland. And then I said six, so I mentioned those six, seven possibly. Rasheed Wallace is the seventh one that I'm going to talk about. I think that Rasheed was the X factor for that Portland team. I believe it with all my heart that he was the heart and soul, him and Jermaine O'Neal. Jermaine O'Neal was young. Of course, you've got Damon Stoudemire on that team as well. I mean, those boys were just dogs. They had the dog inside of them, and they were fighters. And I think that's one of the reasons why he actually was able to excel is because he was able to go to teams that were already in playoff contention and was able to move out of that first round of the playoffs. I think that's one of the reasons why Jordan kind of gets that nod. But you got to remember when Jordan came back from retirement, when he came back and he was playing with the Wizards, the couple years that he played with the Wizards, they were a 14-win team. Now, they had Jerry Stackhouse, who averaged 29 the year before, but when they got Jordan on there, he averaged 26. So his scoring decreased by 3 points per game. And, they had Woolridge. I can't think of Woolridge's name either, but he was a 19-point per game player. And then he decided that he was going to leave that altogether, leave that 100%. And they had to find pieces to the puzzle. Jordan went to a team whenever he came back that nobody wanted to play for. They were mid market, they were hard to take advantage of, and he did it under the guise of being a GM. And his job was on the line. He was threatened to be fired if he didn't increase the wins. And the best way that he knew how to do that was be a GM and a player at the same time. Do I think he took it a little bit too far? Absolutely. Do I think his draft picks were the best? I mean, history has looked back on it and said that Kwame Brown was a bust. I don't know if Kwame Brown really was a bust. I mean, he had a long career. He played more than 2 or 3 seasons. I'll say that. So you got to give him credit where credit was due. He was doing the best he could with what he was given. But under the circumstances that took place, even for him to average 22 in those seasons, 22, 23, 24, 25, and to put 90 up on several occasions, 2 back-to-back games with 45 apiece in several different seasons, I still think that Jordan overall had a better career than Scottie Pippen, even though Scottie Pippen has more wins. He has more playoff wins. He has a better record overall. But I still think Jordan had the better options, and the opportunities that were given to him were a little bit better than Scottie Pippen's, given the fact that Pippen only went to successful teams. He only played for successful teams from 87 forward. I mean, that 87 year that he come in, 87, 88, that he came in, he only played for successful teams. The Bulls started to be established and started to be successful because 89-90 they go, 90-91 they win, 92-93 they win, 94 they're out, 95 they come back and they're out again, 96, 97, 98 they win that three-peat back-to-back. So you got to realize that Pippen only played for successful teams, whereas Jordan took the chance, took the opportunity to go somewhere and do something that was unprecedented in basketball history by picking a team like that and trying to build them from the ashes like a phoenix, basically, to say the least. So that's just basketball today with a Rabid Beaver. You guys tell me what you think. You tell me what you feel about it. I do think that Pippen overall had a better win record. I don't think he had a better career as far as that goes. And I'm not just talking about hardware. I mean, we can get into the hardware, but I think that Pippen had the easy streak of trying to get into the playoffs by the teams that he chose to go to. Now, his decision to go to Portland, that really wasn't his decision. That was a trade that was made. But his decision to go to Houston, that was totally him. Something else that we don't mention is you don't ever see Michael Jordan quit on any team. Now, we saw that with the Bulls. We saw that in that last run with the Bulls. He quit on them. He quit on them in several games, and it changed the dynamic of the entire series. I think Pippen just had enough. I think he was tired of being underpaid at that point in time, and he wanted to make the change in that offseason to go somewhere else, and he did. So, with that being said, he got his grand comeback. He got a grand comeback with the Bulls, whether they did anything special or not. He got to go back to Chicago, finish out his career in Chicago, and he definitely cemented himself as one of the best small forwards to ever play the game, offensively and defensively, even though his numbers don't prove that. Only a 16.9% points per game player. But that doesn't really tell the story of everything he did defensively, offensively. He was the first point forward in my generation, the one that could play small forward and play point guard at the same time. And I think that made a huge difference on the game. The impact that Scottie Pippen has had on the game overall is definitely a life-changing one and a career-changing one for those that came after him, because we see that mold try to be used even today. LeBron James is one of the players that you see best that actually tried to use that point forward mold. And Scottie Pippen made that happen for a lot of players, a lot of people to come in and be that player. So I think his impact on the game is definitely way up there. Do I think he's a better player than Jordan? I don't think he's a better player than Jordan. However, I think that he has some things that are better than Jordan, some stats that are better than Jordan overall. So that's my take on it. Just basketball with a Rad Beaver. Like what you see, hit that like, hit that follow, hit that subscribe, and we will definitely see you on the next one. Bye, guys.